Hey guys, it's Scoop from Garage Gym Reviews, and oh, we have something exciting for you today. I know this because this product has been in the works for some time. If you go back into PRx's like Instagram, you can see they basically, every time somebody comments a question about their flat bench in relation to when it will be an incline bench, they respond, we have one in the works. They've been doing this for almost a decade. So the expectations have been high, but the review we have for you today is on the PRx Incline bench. This is one of the most unique benches that's available. There's a lot of features, there's a lot to talk about, and we are including a new metric for all of you that want to watch and want to know specifically what I think, called the Coop score. Insert rainbow. The Coop score is basically going to detail specific numbers I give to specific parts of the product, and then we're going to culminate it, create an average so we can give you a specific score. And we're going to do that today on this video at the end of the video. So if you'd like to see that, stick around. And if you'd like to see future reviews on all different types of products, including that beautiful rack up there, make sure you subscribe. Now, let's get into it. First off, I want to show you how it works, then I'll get into some of the review. So as you can see, the big differentiator on this bench versus pretty much every other bench out there besides PRx's flat bench is the fact that it stores up against the wall. PRx is basically designing products that allow you to, they say, fit fitness into your life. And I think it's a great idea. So basically the idea is you can still park in your garage and have a full setup, not just the rack, but also the bench. So this folds up here. When you're ready to use it, you fold it down. And this is kind of how it works. You take a hand here, take a hand up top, and then you fold it down. Now this bench is not light. It probably looks very light when I'm putting it down because I'm also an 800-pound deadlifter. Let me just show you again. No movement. Check out the core stability. Just absolutely, you didn't even hear that sit down. Absolutely incredible. Once it's in place, this is quite possibly one of the most stable benches there is, largely because it's not just leaning on stability from the floor, but it's leaning on stability against the wall. As you can see, it's bolted into studs. There is, as far as I know of, no other bench that does something like that, especially one that does an incline. Now, this is where the very unique part happens, and the separator between this and the flat bench is the fact that it can also adjust and do incline. So, to do incline, you first start with a lever off the back. This is a locking mechanism, basically for safety, to keep it from falling over when it's against the wall. I unhook this. Oh, it's a nice sound. You then come up and you lock into the first position. Now the first position, once it's locked, any other adjustment that takes place, you do it from down here. So then if you want to adjust the rest of the way, let's say I want to go up, I then pull back on this and then push up this way. So you pull back and then push it back, lock it into the next place. So when you're ready to go back to another position, you then do it again, pull back, and then shove it in the position you want. Now, this model is a beta version. This is one of their prototypes. We got it ahead of basically schedule so we could test it and then give you our opinion at the same time as it's released. This one right here does have fewer holes than what the normal one has. The normal one, the one that you can order, will have 11 increments, including flat. So 10 total, up and down, all the way to like 90, a military press, a little bit below 90. So a lot of different increments. So you can use it just like you would any other incline. Now the special thing, and the thing that really took a lot of thought on this, is you'll notice it's going backwards. So the seat pad doesn't stay in the same place. The seat pad moves backwards. And the reason for that is because this is designed to be used specifically with the PRx rack. This is one of the most unique parts, is that once you are set up with the bench, it's going to be perfectly aligned within the rack so you can basically unrack the bar and not have to move your bench around. That's one of the biggest, I think, thoughtful features about this. Yes, it stores away, but it would kind of suck if it stored away and you couldn't use it with a rack. It'd be okay, you could use it with dumbbells, but the real benefit to this is that they thought through it. You can not only use it with dumbbells, but you can use it with a bar, with your rack, that they all fold up. Let's get into some different specs and just my opinion on the different parts of it. Let's do it. First off, we have delivery and setup. And if actually you come over here, this is the boxes that came in. So just so you see, these are the exact boxes that came in. No, we don't want to show you where we live, because I don't want you to come steal my gym equipment. But this is what it came in. And in fact, everything was hunky-dory. There wasn't anything wrong with it. The setup is one thing that does take a little extra time, because not only do you have to like assemble parts of the bench, but you also have to bolt it to the wall. So if you have a PRx setup already like a rack, it may be a little bit easier to center it. You don't have to have that. You can do it without a rack, but for most people, I see them like incorporating the two because they just function and are designed really well together. So you just have to understand, like, there is some know-how on how to put it together and how to bolt it to the wall. So next is construction, and this is like, I was somewhat surprised on this, but this is a made in the USA product. In fact, everything on it, I am told, is made in the USA except for like the foam padding. So all the metal, all the componentry, it's all made in the USA except for these two parts right here. Now, not everything PRx makes is made in the USA. They started off, when they were on Shark Tank, it was like pretty much everything was made in the USA. It costs more because it's made in the US, but it can also lead to better construction. So just to like go through it, it's a pretty smooth working bench. And I'll talk more about like how that rail works and some just things that I dislike and maybe like about it. However, overall the construction is pretty strong. And one way you can see that is like how tight it is. There is some play and some movement, but some of that comes through just being able to adjust the bolts a little bit tighter. However, overall, it's using thicker gauge steel. Like this is an 11 gauge steel. So it's gonna be able to hold as much weight as you can lift. I don't know if they have a weight rating yet, but I would guess it's around 1,000 pounds because that's what their flat bench is, and this is a similar construction. The footing, everything is thick walled steel. It's just gonna hold. It's nicely powder coated. The bolts they're using are high grade. The handles are, they're okay. They're a little bit small, but they're also not gonna bend. And then the foam and backing is the same stuff they use on their flat bench. Now, to the foam and covering, this is a section that I don't love. This is a premium bench, and so when I see a premium bench, I'm expecting every part of it to like meet that level of the price point. And to me, this part feels very premium. The powder coating, the thick steel, everything like that. I think the padding, the vinyl is just okay. The foam I actually like. It's a somewhat high density foam. It's got nice edge control. It's got some give. It's a little bit firm. I think it's a good firmness. You don't want a bench where it's like you sink into it, especially when you're doing heavier reps, like if you're maxing out on bench, then it can kind of throw you off. This feels like it gives you a good feedback. It's not too soft. But the vinyl, it doesn't grip really well. It feels a little bit thin. Like compared to the rest of the bench, it just doesn't feel as premium. If I compare this to something like a Rogue, like flat bench, they're using a very high quality vinyl. It grips better, it looks better. This, in my opinion, with this vinyl here, it just feels a little bit cheap. Like I wish they would have like put this on the side, or if they had this, maybe they stitched it on, something like that to give the bench just a little bit higher level quality feel. However, overall, the seat pad and the foam and the vinyl, it's not bad. So next is the stability. Now this bench, like I said, is one of the more stable benches on the market, mainly because it's getting stability from the back. Now there's two types of stability. There's like the stability of like it potentially falling over and like actually being unsafe. And then there's the stability where it's like all the different parts of it, how are they working together so there's not like a ton of shake back and forth. This isn't the most stable bench from like the little parts because there is some play here, as you can see, because there's all these complex parts. However, there is no worry in my mind or anybody else's, there shouldn't be, about it actually falling over because it's bolted to the wall. So it's extremely stable from that angle. And so benching alone, like, which does happen in gym, you don't ever have to worry about like falling or getting hurt because this is like glued to the wall or bolted to the wall. Now, however, the stability of the bench when it's locked in, there is some like side to side, which that happens with any bench. The heavier it is, the less likely it is. But when you're actually using it, there really isn't, like, once you have weight on it, it feels rather solid, and I'm able to just bench like I normally would without worrying about a ton of changes in like the seat, the back, things like that. It's only when I really start trying on it that it moves like any other bench, but once I'm locked in, it feels solid. Now, as I said, there are 11 adjustment angles. On this one, there's fewer than that. Adjustment angles, when I say that, I mean from flat all the way up to 90. A lot of different increments, which is a nice thing. Having a lot of adjustable options matters. The way that it works, you can see these pins right here. It's a pretty cool system. It's kind of fun if you're into Legos and other goofy engineer stuff like me. You pull this lever, that pops out, and then it comes down. The adjustable system on this one, this is the prototype and it's not brand new. Two is the tracks on this are thinner than what they will be on the retail version. So this one is a little bit more difficult to adjust than what you would receive. However, once I like get it going, it's pretty easy to start moving up. And there are 11 different options. Now, that said, this adjustable system, it's not perfect. And what I mean by that is if you don't apply the perfect amount of pressure, Like if you apply more on the left or the right, this side may unhook, but then this side may not. Or that side may lock in, that side wasn't fully locked in. So you have to make sure when you use it, it's fully locked in. Not only that, the other like, I don't know, thing you have to think about is you're going in opposite directions. So you need to pull this and then push this. So you can't put more force on this than this, otherwise it won't go up. So it's kind of like a balancing act you have to figure out. And it's a little bit harder to start, but once you get it going, it's not as bad, but something to be aware of. Now to that point on like the adjustability system, I want to talk kind of about the safety because there are a few like inherent safety problems. Number one is making sure that this thing is fully locked in. If it's not fully locked in, it can fall. Number two is when you drop it down, it's pretty easy to just let this thing ghost ride and then let it fall. So you got to make sure you're holding onto these handles. If you're not, you can get your finger in there and like literally like it could chop off, like kind of dangerous. The other thing that's like something I wish they would have considered a little bit more is these edges. They're not crazy sharp, but I feel like there should be some sort of bumper system or something because your legs will always come into contact with this because you're going back like this. So you may not be thinking, you may be in the middle of the set, maybe you get off and then you get on here and you just scrape your freaking shin. Not fun. I would rather them see like round these off a little bit more and then put some sort of rubber coating or like edging on there just so it feels a little bit more comfortable and it's a little bit safer when you come off. Now as far as the size of the bench, and I'm talking mainly about the width and the height from the bench, the length is fine. The length on this is fine. They're adding actually 2 inches from this one that I have, which I think is a good addition. However, the height is pretty good too. I'm actually surprised most adjustable benches are quite a bit higher than this, at least the lower quality ones. They're understanding like the standard is 17 inches. That's like the IPF standard. This, I measured it, is right around 17 and a half, 18, somewhere in there. So just a little bit higher than what like a good like IPF standard flat bench is, what you'd really want. So it's pretty much ideal. However, one thing to comment is this seat pad, I wish it was a little bit more like shaped. Like it's just this hard square here. Like most incline benches, they have some sort of like give right here. So you can then like put your legs in and they kind of drape off. It doesn't cut off circulation. I wish this wasn't square. It kind of looks a little bit goofy too. I wish it had a little bit more like a eggplant angle. So last, before I give you the coupe score, is the value. So you're thinking, this thing's pretty cool. It's got all these features. I'm bought into it. How much is it? And this is kind of the crux of the issue. This is a lot of times with products where you're like, man, I wish it was a different price than that. And this one does feel very high. Settle down, here's the price. $850 plus $160 shipping. That makes a total of $1,010 shipped to your door. It's a flat rate, $160, and that's for pre-orders. That's like the best price. So if you want it, now is really the best time to get it because it's only gonna go up in the future, mainly because steel will probably go up, and also because they're doing like somewhat of a pre-order like discount, just helping people that wanna get it early. So, $1,010 for this. Is it worth that? There's nothing else like it. It is made in the USA and it does have some good features, but damn, that is a very expensive one piece of equipment bench. There's nothing else like it, I get it. It's very unique, it folds up, it lines up extremely well with the uprights, but man, when I heard that, that was sticker shock. That's an expensive piece. And so when you're looking at that, you compare it to other benches. I mean, a couple other that don't do this, but do store upright, the 5200, AB 5200 from Rep, $500, free shipping. The new Rogue AB 3.0, the adjustable bench 3.0, $585 plus probably another $50-$60 shipping. So again, still less than that, almost half. Again, the Rep AB 5000 Zero Gap is $600, $599 with free shipping. They can also be stored upright and have some unique features. The big, huge benefit to this is that one, it's stable, you can throw it down very quickly, it stores upright, you don't have to mess with it, it's not gonna fall over or hurt anybody, and it's got quite a few adjustment options. But man, that's an expensive price. Okay, there's kind of the review. Now let me give you the coupe score. First, delivery and setup, 7.5, mainly because the setup takes extra time. The setup wasn't really bad. They do send like instructions, everything like that. But the thing you have to understand is this is harder than most of our equipment just because its inherent design is it bolts to the wall. Number 2, construction. It's made in the US. However, there are some parts that are a little bit loose. The pad isn't the best, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Foam and covering. It's okay. The foam is nice, the covering could be improved, and there could be more angling at the crotch area. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Stability. This is a very stable bench against the wall, but there is some side to side. So compared to some benches out there, it's much more stable. Compared to others, there's a little bit more wiggle room than I'd like. So I'm gonna give it an 8. As far as adjustment options, there's 11 adjustment options. However, and then push up this way. So back, back, The system is a little bit, it's not perfect. It doesn't glide perfectly smooth. So I love the amount of adjustability. However, the seat doesn't adjust. I wish it adjusted a little bit higher. So when you're doing this, you just feel a little bit more locked in. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5. The training experience. I'm talking about the whole lining up with this, laying down, the use, how quick it is to superset, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna give it an 8. As far as stowability, so most benches, they can store upright, but then they can topple over. They're a little bit less safe when that happens, that sort of thing. This one, it stows really easily, slows really well. I'm gonna give it a 9. The only reason I wouldn't give it a 10 is because on the back of the bench, there is metal that touches the drywall. In my opinion, there should be some sort of rubber, UHMW plastic, something like that. In the same way you protect your bars with the J-cups, you protect your wall with the back of the bench. Safety. This is a safe bench because it's not gonna fall over, that sort of thing. However, there are parts of it that aren't extremely safe. One is the mechanism for locking it in. It doesn't just lock directly in. I've talked about that. The bench, when you have to make sure you're holding it well, it could fall over. You could hurt a finger, hurt a hand. So I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. Aesthetically, it's a okay looking bench. It's not perfect, it's black. I wish they come in color options. I wish they stitched this logo here. It's just not, I wish it was a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. However, it's a bench. It's not designed to be crazy beautiful. So I'd give it a 7. Size-wise, the height is pretty dialed in at around 17.5 to 18 inches. That's pretty much what you'd want. I wish the size on the seat pad was a little bit more contoured, but overall, it's pretty good dimensions, good length, everything like that. I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Value, we talked about this, $850 plus $160, $1,010 as a pre-order price is expensive. Is it unique? Yes. Is there anything else like it? No. This is a very special bench and it fits a specific person. So if it fits you and you have the money for it, I think it's worth buying. It's a great idea and pretty good execution. However, as a value play, it's not the best value. And part of that is because there's so much steel. Steel's expensive. It's made in the USA. It's powder coated. I get it. I understand. It's expensive to make. But for most people, the value option, it's not perfect. For a PRx owner, I think it makes more sense. But for most people, I'm giving a 6 out of 10. Okay, that's 11 different categories. Add them all up, bring them down. It basically comes to 7.5, 7.54 out of 10. I think it's a pretty even score. It feels to me like that about fits it. It's not the best adjustable bench that's out there. It fits a very specific person. It's very unique, but if this is a bench you would use, you like the stowability, the features are pretty cool and there's nothing else like it. All right, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. It is very freaking hot in this garage. We're moving my garage. You will see videos of it in the future. However, I'm ready to get out of this garage. So I will see you next time. Peace. Feels so good. It is so freaking hot in here. Luke, I am your father.